A little review of what we've covered so far on 10-hour shifts. We've gone over the basic issues surrounding 10s, and we've talked about covering Monday through Friday with single shifts, then Monday through Saturday, and Monday through Sunday, all with single shifts. Today I'm going to look at covering two shift operations using 10-hour shifts, and then we're going to look at how to cover 24/7 using 10-hour shifts. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how to cover two shifts with 10-hour shifts. I'm going to use a 6-day coverage for this example, but you could see how for 4, 5, 6, or 7 days the idea is all the same. So let's go with method number one. I'm going to show you two methods. Method number one is fixed shifts. Now we've seen this pattern before, and this, if you look across the top, we've got Monday through Sunday, and if you go down the side you can see we have 6 different people, Amy, Fred, all the way down to Clem. And on Monday, 4 of them show up and 2 of them are off. And on Tuesday, 4 show up and 2 are off. And the same happens on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We've covered all of this before when we talked about using 10-hour shifts to cover 6-day operations. In this particular example, Amy always has, for example, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. Fred always has Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday off, etc. Now if we wanted to cover Monday through Saturday, 6 days, but we wanted to do it with two shifts, we would just essentially replicate this, only we would use 6 more people and they would be on nights. So that N10 would represent a night shift, where the D10 is a day shift. And I'm going to put some start times down here. So for example, D10 would go from 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. and night 10 would go from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. I wouldn't recommend starting the day shift before 5 a.m. because the earlier the day shift starts, the less sleep the day shift people will tend to get. So these are pretty typical start times for a 20-hour schedule. And you'll see all we did is we just duplicated what we did on the top for the day shift. We duplicated that schedule on the bottom. That gives us, instead of 10 hours of coverage for 6 days, it gives us 20 hours of coverage for 6 days. Now let's look at method number 2. Method number 2 is a semi-rotating or a rotating. So let's take a look at the semi-rotating. In the semi-rotating, we have 3 people. We have Jackie, Pluto, and Euclid. And across the top, we have Monday through Sunday. We can see that everyone's off on Sunday. And now on Monday, and by the way, this pattern has been covered in one of the earlier presentations, this 6-day pattern. But on Monday, we can see that Jackie shows up for the day shift and Euclid shows up for the night shift. On Tuesday, it's Jackie on days and Euclid on nights. And on Wednesday, it's Jackie on days and Pluto on nights. And Thursday, it's the same, Jackie on days and Pluto on nights. Then on Friday, Euclid is coming in on days and working, and Pluto will cover nights. Now, if you remember, if we go back to Monday and Tuesday, Euclid worked the night shift. Then Euclid's off on Wednesday and Thursday, and they come back on Friday. They're on day shift. And then on Saturday, Euclid is covering the day shift while Pluto is covering the night shift. If we look at the pattern, Jackie works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and is off every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Jackie is always on day shift and always has Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. Pluto, on the other hand, always works Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night shift, and always has Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday off. So Jackie and Pluto are what I would call fixed. They're on fixed shifts with fixed days off. Euclid has fixed days off, but it's actually a rotating shift. Euclid works nights on Monday and Tuesdays, works days on Fridays and Saturdays, and Euclid always has Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday off. So that's why we call this semi-rotating. If we take a look at it as a rotating schedule, you'll notice all I've changed is over on the left-hand side. Instead of putting names, I put weeks, week 1, 2, and 3. So each one of our 3 people would be in one of these 3 weeks, and then they would rotate through the 3 weeks. So whoever's in week 1 would go down to week 2, whoever's in week 2 goes to week 3, and week 3 rotates up to week 1. So if we were in week 1, for example, we'd work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday day shift. Then we're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We rotate down to week 2, and we're off Monday, Tuesday. Now we're going to come to work on nights. And we work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. We're off on Sunday. We go down to week 3. We work Monday and Tuesday nights. We're off Wednesday, Thursday. Then we work Friday, Saturday, day shift. We're off Sunday, and we rotate back up to week 1. So in this example, everybody is rotating. One of the things that you may suspect about 10-hour shifts is that they don't go well into a 24-hour day or a 7-day week. If you just do a little bit of math, you'll find out why this is true. However, often you'll find that your workforce isn't interested in the math. They just want 10-hour shifts to cover 24/7. So it's very important that you're able to explain to them why math says it doesn't work very well. Let's start with a couple of points here. Good news, 4 10-hour shifts equals 40 hours, which is great for a 40-hour work week. The bad news is 10-hour shifts don't go evenly into a 24-hour day or a 168-hour week. There are things that we can do to try and make them go into a 24-hour day or 168-hour week. Neither one of them is very pretty. Let's take a look at those. Option 1 is you can have 6 hours of overlap every day. So 3 10-hour shifts gives you 30 hours of coverage, and there are only 24 hours in a day, so let's take a look at some sample start times. Crew A could go from 5 a.m. until 3 p.m. Crew B could go from 1 p.m. until 11 p.m. So we see we have a 2-hour overlap from 1 p.m. till 3 p.m. And then Crew C can work from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. So Crew C and B are both there from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then Crew C is also there until 7 a.m. even though Crew A gets in at 5 a.m. So we have 2 hours of overlap at every shift change time. Some companies will use this. They will say something like, well, we're going to do all of our training there. And that's a lot of training, but if you can use it, go ahead and do it. There are other industries or professions where they need this overlap. For example, you can, if you work it just right, you can make the overlap occur where you want it to occur. For example, instead of having 3 blocks of 2 hours of overlap, you could have 1 block of 6 hours of overlap. And let's suppose that you were a police department, a highway patrol department, and you wanted to maximize the number of people that were on the street at certain times of the day. Well, you could have your overlap occur from, say, 6 a.m. till 9 a.m., and then another one occur from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m., something like this, so that you have overlaps in such a way that there's more officers on the road at certain times. So there are times where overlap works. Another way to do it is to have dynamic start times. Instead of having overlap, we'll just butt the shifts up against each other. So Crew A will work from 5 a.m. to 3 p.m., Crew B from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m., Crew C from 1 a.m. to 11 a.m., and now it's time for Crew A to come in, and they come back in at 11 a.m. Remember, we don't want overlap. So you'll notice Crew A, the previous day, started at 5 a.m., the next day they started at 11 a.m., and tomorrow they're going to start at 5 p.m. So this is not popular at all, and I cannot imagine a situation where this would work for a company. But the math says these are your 2 basic options. Since we now know that 10-hour shifts don't go well into 24 hours a day or 7 days a week, let's take a look at how close we can probably get. Here's a schedule that is actually a 4-crew schedule with 4 separate schedules within it. Crew A, B, C, and D each have their own pattern. Crew A works 10-hour day shifts Monday through Thursday. Crew B works 10-hour night shifts Monday through Thursday. Crew C is a weekend crew that works Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for 12 hours. And Crew D, also a weekend crew, works Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but they're on the night shift for 12 hours. We'll notice that we only have 20 hours of coverage on Monday through Thursday. Some companies like this. And the reason they like this is that they can do training for 4 hours every day, at least for 4 days a week. Or maybe they have maintenance that needs to be done during those 4 hours. Also, they can expand those 10-hour shifts into 12-hour shifts to get better coverage. For example, if the day shift goes from 5 a.m. to 3 p.m., then you can expand it to go from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that gives you 12 hours of coverage. And the night shift can add 2 hours at the end of their shift. So instead of going from 3 to 1 a.m., they can go from 3 p.m. until 3 a.m. And this gives us 24 hours of coverage, now 7 days a week. It doesn't mean that they'll always go to 12s. Typically it goes something like in the busy season these will be 12s, and in the slow season these are 10s. Or if we need to do maintenance, we'll cut these back to 10s, otherwise we'll do 12, something of that nature. If we look at crews C and D, these are essentially weekend warrior crews. And I've talked about weekend warriors before in other blog posts. I'm going to give you a link to that in a minute. But essentially, weekend warrior crews are easy to implement. Basically, you're telling the workforce, we need to run 7 days a week, but don't worry, we'll find somebody else to work the weekends. So the workforce likes them. But you'll find out after a while that you get low performance, high turnover, high cost, all types of problems with it. And then when you try and get rid of it, the workforce will push back, because if you get rid of the weekend warrior crew, that means that everybody has to share in covering the weekends. And it's not something that most of your workforce is going to want to do once they've been used to having all their weekends off.